Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and today I want to talk about a faction none of you know about, because I just made it up. Joseph Simonik challenged me to come up with another all-star deck, which I technically did already, and you'll find a link to that video in the description. But I wanted to make a second one, and this was really hard. I went through several options, even tried to make a Munchkin All-Stars, but nothing that I was really happy with since I wanted a unique take. So I cheated and took a format I've been wanting to see for the longest time, something one of my other custom factions does, and applied it to existing cards. If Space Jam can get a sequel, so can the All-Stars. So I officially submit this faction for consideration for the next All-Star squad. Even the Harlem Globetrotters need the Washington Generals, after all. So how did I construct this deck? First, I did not want any overlap of cards with the existing All-Star deck. Factions can overlap, but not cards. No card can appear twice, and I wanted to feature every expansion. To ensure this, no expansion can appear more than twice, and only once per faction. Each chosen minion has to occupy a specific class. I did not want to consider special minions that have non-traditional power breakdown. I needed 10 minions and 10 actions. I also wanted there to be a clear theme, as opposed to random cards I like. So I present to you my new faction, the Triad. I really wanted to make a faction about Triple Triad, but I was worried that few people would get the reference, so Triad it is. Instead of being an organized crime syndicate, this secret society is dedicated to protecting the secret of the number 3. Most factions have 30 printed power. I have always wanted to see a faction with 10 minions of power 3. The closest we got was Innsmouth, but they are below average power. So I made one for a different faction, but copied that format for this one. And for their underlying mechanic, the number 3 is very important. Being a minion of power 3 is significant. These are my terrific 3s who are prepared for everything, versatile, able to do a little bit of everything. As often as possible, the number 3 should appear in their ability. So here they are, in order of chronological appearance. My first choice is the Shinobi, a free 3 power you could add to any base. This is one of my top minions in the game, so he had to be represented. It's hard to get Shinobi to be anything other than 3 power, but you can always count on having that extra 3 power. Shinobi gives the Triad a special that makes sure that they will always have a presence on the base. My next choice is the Game Guru, the premium defensive 3. Once he is played, you will almost always have at least 3 power on a base. This is something every faction could use, and it gives the Triad a true defensive ability since this card is so hard to counter. My next choice is the Teenage Wolf, a 3 who really wants to be a 4. The Teenage Wolf has easy, above average power for its class, but only on your turn. For most of the game, it will be a 3, but that extra power goes a long way, and having extra power boosts fits the mold of versatility. My number 4 is Muffin, who can take control of a minion of power 3 or less. Now we are finally getting to the importance of the number 3, as Muffin can swing minions of the same power. This gives the Triad a rare element of control, something that is always useful even in small quantities. I love Muffin's ability to swing bases at the last moment, and it's a good fit for this faction. My number 5 is Twister, who can move minions of power 3. This is versatile, as you could either use this as a stall tactic or as a means of closing the base, and with this structure, you should have plenty of candidates for a proper move. Any good versatile faction needs a little bit of movement, and Twister fits the bill. My next candidate is the Crypt Looter, who gives you a 3 power head start on a new base being revealed. I really like the idea of being the first on a base and last on a base when factoring in Shinobi, and this will help the Triad scale in multiplayer. It's another easy 3 power. Recruit number 7 is the Pink Trooper, who can return a minion of power 3 after a base scores. Like Twister, there should be no shortage of candidates, and I love how the game situation will determine which minion is the best choice. Should you grab back your only Shinobi as a backup plan, or grab Crypt Looter so that you can immediately play it after the next base is revealed? All of these are great options, and the Pink Trooper persists them. You can even persist the Pink Trooper if you want to save someone else later on. Next is one that may surprise people, and it's a standout 3, the Diva. I'm going to spoil the rest of the deck and say that the Diva has no good actions that she can copy, and that is by design. In most instances, the Diva will just be 3 power, but she is also a total wild card. You can pair it with a faction that has standard actions worth copying, or you can embrace the fact that Diva is ready to copy actions from your opponents. The Diva could be a bland 3 power, or she could be more, and that is really intriguing. My number 9 can steal minions of power 3, and that is the Shield Maiden. I really like the thematic idea of a Triad minion coercing another minion into joining the ranks. This isn't a guarantee, but the opportunity is too good to pass up, and again, it specifically mentions minions of power 3. My final minion will come as a surprise because it hasn't been released yet, and that is the 3rd tier. The 3rd tier can move an opposing minion of power 3 from here to another base, and while it isn't as versatile as the Twister, you do get to draw a card. Also, it has the perfect name for the Triad, so of course 3rd tier will join the ranks as soon as the sumo wrestlers are released. Moving on to the actions, again in chronological order, Disintegrator is a non-traditional way of disposing of minions, which is really useful. You can place any minion of power 3 on the bottom of its owner's deck, allowing you to bypass destruction prevention and deal with some particularly troubling minions like Tenacious Z. Disintegrator provides some disruption for the Triad. Next, I wanted the Triad to have extra minion plays, and the irony of Blossom is too good to ignore. For the Triad, this is just an insta-grow, but it has the potential to be more if paired with a faction that has overlap. I'm often hard on Blossom because it rarely reaches its max potential, but it's still useful and very thematically fitting. Number 3 is probably the best action for this deck, Recruit by Force. Given the minion structure, this will guarantee that you will have minions to play for as long as you want. No minion will be overly powerful, which keeps this card from being overpowered, and placing too many minions on top of your deck will leave you action starved. But there is some potential to regenerate your hand quickly, and it's a natural fit for the Triad. This gives them some much needed recursion. The Triad could use a special action, as well as destruction, and Live and Let Chum is a nice fit for both. You can affect the base as it is scoring, but not by much. Again, the callback to power 3 is what draws me to the card, and I like very much that this is the AntiShinobi. If Recruit by Force can give you many power 3 minions, how are you supposed to play them? Some Enchanted Evening is perfect for that. I like the flexibility here as well as the extra plays. You can either play the minions that you got back from Recruit by Force, or discard your minions and get them back with Recruit by Force. This is one of the Triad's best bursts and is an underappreciated card for the mages in my opinion. The next action is a defensive one, Secret Base from the superheroes. Some players would be surprised that the Secret Base protects minions of 3 or less, since the superheroes don't have any. That extra power just increases the usefulness of the card and makes it a great candidate for the Triad's defensive card. We need a card that can increase power but not necessarily combine with Diva, so I chose the Touch. The Touch fits nicely because there are many minions who have on-play abilities and nothing to lose by activating the Touch. I've always been a fan of power activation, and though it's tempting to pick Cyber Evolution for its persistent power, I needed a card from Cease and Desist, and this was the perfect fit. The Triad could also use a card that helps with deck manipulation, and Attic Treasures fits the bill. You can quickly cycle through your deck to get to your better cards, which are dependent on the current game situation. You can also draw 3 cards if you are simply out of cards, something that is likely to occur with some Enchanted Evening. With so many diverse minions to choose from, we need a way of extracting the perfect one to finish off a base, and I Select You is perfect. This gives the Triad some much needed deck searching to pull the appropriate minion, whether it's Twister to consolidate on a base, or Muffin to swing the balance of power. This has elements of extra play, but really stands out as a search finisher since the minion only lasts 1 turn. It never hurts having another destruction card, and Make My Day trades the flexibility of Seeing Stars for an additional card draw. I'm happy to make that trade most of the time, and again it is capped at power 3. The Triad get their final card, enhancing their destruction opportunities. But what about the bases? The All-Stars got new bases despite repeating cards, so the Triad should as well. Raleigh is known for having the Research Triangle, so I would like to see a 3VP base where the winner can search their deck for a minion of power 3 and play it on a base that replaces this base. For the other base, and admittedly I don't have a name for this one, giving out an additional VP for every 3 minions would be a good fit, as Twister, Shinobi, and Muffin are great fits for that base. I wanted a base that is powerful like Rhodes Plaza Mall, but not overly powerful so that you can ignore all the other bases. This card list represents every expansion except the Sheep promo, and there really wasn't a thematic fit there. I'd love to give the Triad a movement action, but all the Triad actions reference the number 3, and the Sheep would have broken that. Also, they have enough movement with Twister and 3rd tier, and the goal is to be prepared for anything. This is a jack of all trades, master of none faction. I'm really excited about this, and if you have all the content, you can easily create this deck yourself. If you can't wait for the sumos to come out, all you have to do is submit one proxy card. The great thing about Smash Up is that you can invalidate 20 factions and still not have touched 50% of the game. What do you think of my new All-Stars, the Triad? Let me know in the comments and feel free to try them yourself. Thanks for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, let's shut it down.